How did you get interested in yoga?
Yoga for me was just exercise to start out with. Yoga for me was exercise. But as I progressed through and started to learn more about yoga, how it really benefited me was to be able to get control of my mind, get control of my emotions, find peace. I wound up sleeping better. I wound up feeling better.
When can we make time for our practice?
Making time for your practice is always hard. It's one of the reasons why at Acceptance Yoga we try to keep our practices to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You can even do yoga for 3 minutes sitting at a desk or waiting for a bus. And I think that's the key, is to not think of yoga as, oh, I've got to go to a studio, I've got to do an hour. I did all of that, and I enjoyed it very much, but it was very difficult to work into my lifestyle. It's not for everybody. So I think the key to a yoga practice is doing what you have time for.
How did you feel about graduating from a yoga course?
The number one thing that I took away from my teacher training was acceptance. So at the end of our 200-hour training, they asked us to pick a word that we thought summarized our experiences. Just one word, no acceptance speeches. And so you really had to put a lot of thought into it. And the reason why I chose acceptance is because I felt accepted, because I felt like I was not going to fit in, that yoga was not really going to be for me, that I was going to be an imposter, that I wasn't good enough, and that I didn't belong in this group of teachers. And so the number one thing that I learned from my teacher training is to accept myself and to accept others.
Where do you teach?
Mostly what I'm doing right now is I'm recording videos to share on YouTube, but I've also taught at studios here locally in Texas. I've also taught at parks and community events. Really, any chance that I get to reach out and teach yoga, then I'll take those opportunities.
What different aspects are there?
So yoga, a lot of people just think about the exercises, but yoga really also includes philosophy. It includes meditation in particular. Is that meditation as a way to calm your mind is a lot of what we're trying to do with yoga. And so in my practice and in my teaching, I try to guide people through all of the aspects of yoga.
How did you learn about yoga's philosophy?
The philosophy of yoga was something that I started studying just as a natural interest because I got so excited about yoga. I just started to read books, and the main book being the Yoga Sutras from Patanjali, and it talked about, in particular, the philosophy of being truthful and being genuine and not causing harm to people. And they're themes that you find from all kinds of different traditions and all kinds of philosophies. Those same themes of nonviolence, not hurting other people, they're in all of them. And so I found them in yoga as well. And yoga for me was where it resonated.
What kind of physical challenges have you experienced?
Some of the postures are very challenging to get into. Some of them require a level of balance that I don't necessarily have. Some of them require a level of flexibility. But what I learned over time is that the key is that you do what you can. And one of the things that I was taught to do is, if you can't do a thing that a teacher is suggesting, then you can visualize it or you can do something else. It's really up to you to shape your practice to what you're capable of.
What style do you teach?
Well, I teach a beginner's yoga, so it's a hatha style. So it's postures where you spend a lot of time reaching for the pose, and so it's not super energetic. It's not like doing aerobic activity. It's more about finding your center.
What is meditation like for you?
I had a concept of meditation of sitting on a mountaintop in the middle of the trees and just having my eyes shut, my hands out, and the classic posture that everybody thinks of. And there's nothing wrong with that posture and putting your hands together in Gyan Mudra. But what meditation turns out to be is just getting in touch with your environment and then being able to set that environment aside, is noticing, how does your body feel? What are you thinking of? And can I find a way to accept those thoughts that go through my head and let them pass by and not get distracted? And so meditation might be a series of 3 or 4 seconds, and then I'm thinking about lunch again. But meditation is a practice. So over time, I've found it easier and more accessible to be able to quiet my mind. And that's what meditation is to me.
What's the concept behind acceptance yoga?
I started acceptance yoga as a business because I wanted to pass on that same feeling that I got when I went through my training and came to like really love myself. And trying to make that possible for others is what acceptance yoga is all about.